Welcome to Uncorked and Unscripted, the podcast and video series that gives you VIP access to the unscripted stories of people I've met through events. In this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted, business journalist Jodi Schwan joins us to discuss starting her own business, paving her path in the journalism industry, and the close tie between events and news. As you can imagine, we've seen each other out and about many times over the years. Now uncork your favorite beverage and listen up as we spend the next half hour unscripted. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Uncorked and Unscripted. I'm your host, Addie Graham Kramer, founder and CEO of The Event Company. Now, speaking of events and all that we do throughout not only our local community in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but all across the country, we have one individual that's joining us today who our lives seem to intersect in so many different ways and paths, but she seems to understand what's happening in the community sometimes at the same time when we are hosting our events, but even earlier. So I'm proud to welcome Jodi Schwan of Sioux Falls Business here with us today. Welcome, Jodi.
Hi, Addie. Thanks for having me, and congratulations on the podcast launch. It's like your latest success, so it's been really fun to help tell your story along the way here and hopefully share a little bit of my own with you.
Yeah, no, it has been fun. And for you and I, we met, my gosh, over a decade ago. And it's been fun to see your life and your journey as well throughout broadcast and all the journalism pieces right in front of the TV. And now pushing Sioux Falls Business. It's been how many years now? 5, 6?
So Sioux Falls Business actually launched in March of 2017. So come next spring, 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
As an entrepreneur,
crazy?
You can appreciate what that means.
No, once you get past that little hump, I always say the 3-year window, once you get past that little bit, then I think it's a lot better. But for those that are tuning in and listening from throughout the country, why don't you explain just a little bit more about what Sioux Falls Business is?
Sure. So actually, I should back up a bit because my business name is Align Content Studio. We're bigger than Sioux Falls Business, and that I am a marketing and media company is how I usually describe it for people with multiple digital media products. So one of those is Sioux Falls Business, which covers Sioux Falls area business news. The other one is pigeon605.com, which is a little more consumer community facing lifestyle product that covers primarily the Sioux Falls area, but we like to go a little beyond that, hence the 605. And it's just a really, I think, nice and fun and fresh brand. And I remember you and I even collaborating a little bit on that one when it launched.
Prior to the launch, just right prior to. Yeah, it was so awesome.
Addie's one of those people where if I have an idea, I just want to vet it and say, okay, if she thinks this is good, maybe this makes sense. And so I did this with just a few people, actually. So you're one of them who got this to get that site.
My little birdie's name's Confetti. So it's always fun to see who's celebrating their birthdays every week when it comes through. So yeah.
And if you're watching us and just wondering what the heck is she talking about, pigeon605.com, adopt a pigeon. Hopefully from there it will all make sense. If you're from South Dakota, I think you'll love it. If you're not, hey, at least you're going to learn a little more about
South exactly.
Dakota, right? Yep.
So before we dive fully into the story and share a little bit about your journey, every guest that we bring in, so it's called Uncorked and Unscripted. So we always want to know if you were to be a beverage, your beverage of choice that would describe Jodi, what would that beverage be?
Oh, wow. I could go a lot of directions with that. That is fun. Maybe it's top of mind for me, but I'm a big coffee drinker. Black coffee specifically. I usually have a lot of energy, so maybe there's some tie-in there. I need it to power through this enterprise that I have created. So I'll go with coffee, but more specifically, one of my go-tos, and what I need to do, Addie, and this is kind of shameful, maybe someone can help me, is I need to find that go-to local brew because I'm very much about supporting local, but I'll be candid with you because that's the idea. So Starbucks Holiday, it's limited edition stuff. It's I stock up on this. So we're recording this in summer. I'm still drinking Starbucks Holiday blend.
I love it.
At least once a day.
When you find something though that you love. So I'm kind of the same way. So the other day at the office, it's called Nut Pods. Have you ever heard of Nut Pods?
I have.
Okay. So I adore it. I actually got so fangirled and excited once I posted about it. and they liked it and actually shared it on their story. So I was so pumped and excited, but love Nut Pods. So for those that don't know, Nut Pods is it's a non-dairy. So it's either almond milk or coconut milk or a combination of both. I don't know if they have oat milk ones, but I do know almond and coconut for sure. Anyway, yesterday, truly, when it's 90 plus degrees out, I was doing pumpkin spice in my coffee.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just love it. I love that flavor. But I will tell you, I've never had any of the trendy pumpkin spice latte drinks or any of those things. I do like lattes or just straight black as well. But I've not had somebody ever mention to me about the holiday blend. What makes it? Is it like, is there spicy? Is there some
I
cinnamon
know.
and orange in it?
It was given to me as a gift several years ago, and otherwise, I'm not sure I would have tried it because it's probably more bold than I would normally choose. So there you go. Step
Sure.
outside the comfort zone a
Wow.
little bit. But there's something about that flavor profile, I guess, much like pumpkin spice or whatever that I do like. I should give a shout out because a lot of times in the office I'll do a Keurig because again I'm not necessarily going to be brewing a bunch, but I know Flyboy does a very good blend.
Yeah, they do.
I should stock up on some of that too. But
Yeah, we've had that Ben and his team over at Flyboy supply so much coffee to us over the years, and they have a tremendous blend as well. Yeah, kudos to them. Next episodes will probably be sponsored now by Flyboy Coffee. We'll probably
adopt
we'll
a
see.
pigeon, and I'm not going to give the surprise away.
I know,
But,
yeah.
your birthday, right? There's going to be a little delivery thing
Coming up.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for that. That's awesome to know. But so how did you get to align in this way, like how it is today? Because when I first met you, we were at Sioux Falls. You were at the Sioux Falls Business Journal, I think at that time. But then was broadcast after that, or was that before?
Broadcast was before, so that's how I started my career. But I think you're right because I think I remember when I first heard about you. I was trying to remember this, but it was our mutual friend Rob Swenson. If I remember
yeah, of course. Rob is so incredible.
Yes.
Adore him.
He figures into the story too, so this is good.
Okay.
So he told me about you because hadn't you worked at the Argus?
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. I was the marketing director for a while there. Yeah.
So he's telling me that Addie was in marketing at the Argus Leader, and now she has this business, and I don't know, she's putting on events or something. And I remember he and I trying to figure out because this was new to the market when you did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Identifying this as a business niche. And so I remember us talking about, well, there's probably a story in this and trying to figure out what exactly your business was going to specialize in. We're going to do social events, we're going to do corporate events, or a little bit of everything. So Rob retired. He was the one who hired me in 2011. He retired the following year, and then I took over as editor of the Sioux Falls Business Journal. And I remember he went on to do his own little side writing business and did a great job with it. And honestly, when I started thinking about starting my own business, that was somebody that I thought of. Okay, Rob did this, right? And he made it work. And I thought about yourself and other people, who took that risk, who left a similar industry to mine and decided to do their own thing. And so I had just gotten to the point, people talk about, well, it's a risk to start your own business. And frankly, to me, it felt like a bigger risk to stay in this industry, right? And in a place where I could just tell the trajectory probably wasn't for me. I like to be in places that are growing. And unfortunately, the print newspaper business is not there, still is not there. I give a lot of credit to those who are still attempting to serve readers and serve audiences and build audiences, but it is a really uphill battle, especially when you're not locally owned and you don't have the ability to make the decisions that I do, to try things, and to leverage some of the relationships that I had built over time. And so originally I was going to start a content marketing business. I felt like there was really a need in the market for that. I still do. We do a lot of those services. But the more I thought through it, the more limiting it was because we still needed to reach an audience. So how do you do that? Well, that's where actually media products are great because we do bring in an audience based on certain interests. And honestly, I enjoyed covering business news. I didn't love the idea of walking away from that. And so when I put this business model together, then it went, okay, so basically I'm starting two businesses. It's a lot more work because the revenue side is content marketing. And then we're still day to day reporting news, just like any outlet. But I am so glad I did it, particularly for business news in the Sioux Falls community, because there is so much of it and really not very many of us covering it. So.
No, and you are a beacon. Any event that we are a part of, whether it's a new product launch or a new bank building or whatever enhancement or huge donation, whatever it looks like, I feel like in those first meetings with our clients, they have already shared with you what's happening. Like, I feel like anytime that anybody has anything going on in the business world, I feel like Jodi Schwan is like top. So you have like CEO, CFO, the investor, Jodi Schwan, you have all this kind of order of people, which is incredible. I mean, you put out an incredible product every single day. I think you are a trusted source. You've got an incredible team that walks alongside you to be able to help do these things. And I think that it's one thing that our community has just, I think, flocked to, no pun intended, with on the pigeon side of it. But I think it's one thing where it's just a trusted source, just like other news outlets, but it's so focused on that niche, truly. And I think it's incredible. You should be so proud. So proud. We needed it.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's just so nice to hear. It's what we strive for. And I say we, because it's not just me. I've got a wonderful team that helps make this happen. Rosemary McCoy is my full-time content manager. I am the idea person who's running 100 miles an hour. And she's the one who's saying, wait, slow down. This doesn't make sense. Or you spelled this person's name 3 different ways, or whatever it might be. But that's really,
you need those people.
Well, yes, because from your perspective too, the credibility is so important, and I think that's what we've achieved. Hopefully, by continuing to do journalism the way that I was taught to do it, the way that I believe it should be practiced. Our industry is in a rough time and has been for a while in a lot of different ways, but that audience perception's right up there, and then that leads to business challenges, right? So. I think the more we can just keep doing journalism the way that I believe it's intended to be practiced. And then, as you said, tell the stories that really deserve to be told. Our business community, we're fortunate. Primarily, the narrative is good. There are a lot of positive things happening here. That doesn't mean we ignore it when somebody closes or when a bunch of jobs get lost, right? But the theme, so far anyway, generally is positive.
Yeah. And even how you phrase, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a comings and goings section, right? Is that, yeah. So even if it's, even if there is a transfer or of a company or a closure or whatever it looks like, it's still not a closed, it's just a different way that you attack it. And it's a different presentation model, but it is truly one, whether it is good news or bad news, people, you are a very trusted source. So you should be proud. Are there others like you in other parts of the country? When I say like you, like this content marketing piece where it's super mixed with the business news? Are there others? Are there others out there like you?
There are some. So what's been fun to see in the 8 years is just the explosion of locally owned local media outlets. And we have that in Sioux Falls. And if you're watching from elsewhere, hopefully you have that in your community too. Because I think about, when you and I started in the industry, I used to hear these stories about when Sioux Falls mainstream media outlets were family owned and what great times those were. I never got to work in those times. They were always these big national internet. So I really do think having that local decision making is so key. So it's been great to see. Not a whole lot in the business vertical, some, but not as much. Most of them go more general interest, I would say local news. And everybody's trying to figure out a business model, Addie. I mean, I happen to really like ours. I think that content marketing, when done well, can be extremely effective. I will tell you, to do it well is really difficult. So it takes more time. It takes a lot more investment. But I do think that it's worth it. We are still free to read. And I do that intentionally because I want as many people as possible to be able to access our news. And I want that for our content partners too. But, in a lot of models, there is a subscription element to it. There's maybe a little more traditional advertising. And fortunately, thanks to a lot of supportive partners, we've not had to go that route.
Yeah, even my small town newspaper, I grew up in a small town in Nebraska and a town of 2,800 people, there is a paid model now. So they
Mhm.
and which I support and I understand. And those are pieces that we need to and they need to do their business, but also we need it as well because we want to stay up to date. We need to be able to have those pieces for our own businesses to be able to survive and thrive. And it's a good partnership all around, but I appreciate the model that you're taking, though, with it. And your readership is there to help support it and your sponsorships and your partners that you've got. I think
Yeah.
you've done a great job for
Thanks. And
it.
we're
I mean,
transparent
truly.
about it too, right? Which
Yeah.
is so important because
Yeah.
we're extremely authentic with where our advertising comes from. You can go on either of our sites. Everybody's logo's there. So, that to me is really important. I pay for news myself though, especially some logos, because I understand that this doesn't work for everyone. We are in some verticals where there are a lot of advertising opportunities. People want to reach our audience, and there are other areas, particularly the public service journalism, where that's just harder, but it's still really important. And the nonprofits coming in too, and you work with a lot of nonprofits, but the nonprofits and news have been exciting to see, and the fact that there's even philanthropic support for it is great.
What's your readership looking like these days on Sioux Falls Business?
Oh, it keeps growing, which is great. And we always talk about working on the business and not in the business. And if I could, give myself some advice, well, I would probably say a lot of things. But one would definitely be, work more on the business. So I say this to you because it's basically been organic, and I don't do a lot of marketing of our own
Yeah.
products, which I probably should. However, we have a readership base, between social media and newsletter followers. I'll just say in excess of 60,000.
Wow, that
Which
is
I have
incredible.
no complaints about. I'm really grateful for everybody who
Wow.
either follows us on social media or chooses to receive our free email newsletter.
Yeah.
And then, obviously there's direct traffic to the website too.
Yeah. Well, I get the updates, so I already subscribe to the updates whenever there's new
Excellent.
things. I just
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So from your perspective, obviously the news cycle, it never stops. It's a go go go, and even when you are on in broadcast, it's nonstop. So from your perspective, how do you relax, or like are you immersing yourself into books? Are you immersing yourself
Oh,
into other news pieces? Like, the reason I say that is from my side, I love events. I'm in events day in and
mhm.
day out.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just like to host dinner parties, but there's other times where I have to completely shut off to recharge and to be a good product on the other end too, right? For
Mhm.
me to be able to
Mhm.
continue pushing out what we do. But
Yeah. No,
how do you recharge?
well, first of all, to be candid, I mean, I work a lot, as you
Yeah.
probably do. And
We
as
do.
I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, every entrepreneur needs to realize if you're looking at getting into this business, I told people, well, yes, you get to set your own hours, and that's really easy because you pretty much work whenever, it's needed. And I love what I do. So I am fortunate that for me, a lot of the times what I'm doing doesn't necessarily feel like work. And even people that I meet with, or get
Hmm.
to spend my day talking to, are people I genuinely enjoy being
Right.
around. So it doesn't drain me, I will say,
Yeah.
in the sense that I think some people's work drains
Yeah. I
them.
agree.
Your
Agree.
work, the travel that you
Yeah.
can put on, having to be on at these events, that would
Yeah.
drain me. So it's
We each
probably
have our skill sets. We
right.
have our skill sets.
Yes, you are doing work that I do not want to do. So all of that being said, I am they call it a news junkie. So I do enjoy reading news. I wish I had more time to read books, as you say, or to even read some of the magazines that I subscribe to, because I also find that when you read good work, you tend to write better. I think something happens in the brain. I'm not even sure how, but I do see that, and I do enjoy it. But I'm also really lucky that I have just some amazing friends in this community who completely get me, who I really trust. And that, to your point, like I am told a lot of things, that I can't share. And the people closest to me understand that. And they just kind of, give me space to do what you say. And so I'm lucky that I can look up a number of people and just catch up, and that's what I try to make time to do. And sometimes we're not always good at that, but those people where you leave the conversation and you're just recharged, and you say, I
Yeah.
need to make more time to see this person. I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
agree.
be more mindful of making that time,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's, coffee in the morning or after work or whatever, because there are so many people who do that for me. And it's just about being that intentional. Otherwise I'm a warm weather person. I like being outside when it's nice. So I try to do that as much as I can and just clear my head a little bit. Getting outdoors is important to me. I just enjoy being in Sioux Falls, like in downtown Sioux
Yeah,
Falls, for
me
instance.
too.
I'm
I love
lucky.
it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but my office is downtown. I'm able to do a quick walk along, Phillips Avenue or the East Bank or Uptown, take a little break and just kind of see what's new. So I like that. I love all the special events and everything that happened really throughout the year. And it kind of reminds me, of why I'm doing what I'm doing too. And, why it is so important to keep telling the story of this community.
Yeah, we have a gem. I remember the first time that I met with an organization out of Boston, and I remember in our first meeting that said, "Wow, like it's the opportunity to speak on a stage in front of like 60,000 people." And it was a virtual stage, obviously. At that time, it was during COVID. Had this chance to speak on this stage, and I remember them asking, like, why South Dakota? And I said, why not? Like, I adore it. So we have founded our company, grew our company all in downtown Sioux Falls. And I feel like just exactly what you said. I can step outside, I can take a walk over to XYZ client, run into the coffee shop, see 3 other people that I know, walk over here. Like, it's the energy that I love. I bring our family down here. Our lives are here. We bank down here. Like, our everything is here for us. And I absolutely adore it. And I adore other parts of our city as well. But we have a gem and there is so much activity going on. There is never a dull moment. And when people exit this community, I find that sometimes when they're not gone long, right, they end up making their way back to South Dakota and especially in the Sioux Falls area because we do have a gem and it has grown so much. Even in the 10 years that I've had the company, it's grown so much. And we have that really awesome opportunity for my side to be able to host some of those special celebrations for you to be able to share those stories, whether it is comings or goings, but we have a gem. I truly feel like that every day.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, that's a great point too. And maybe for people watching, I mean, you're obviously somewhat interested in the events world, if you are watching this. And sometimes I know people say, well, how do I get media coverage of my event? You probably hear that a lot, right? And that can vary depending on your market. And here in Sioux Falls, we've got a mix, I would say, of news and some paid opportunities to highlight events. But I think about how fun it is when you make news at an event. I was just at one recently. It's a classic, here's our annual fundraiser kind of thing, but they announced a major project, a major initiative, and with that, a lead donation. And I mean, how fun, right? Because you get that great, PR off of it, but then for your attendees, they're the first ones to hear this and a lot of enthusiasm. I guarantee you it generated more donations. And, so when you can do that, I would just encourage, as you would too, I'm sure, those event organizers to consider that.
Yeah. And even, I mean, when people are coming into Sioux Falls for us to share that story, because we've had other groups externally come into this market and vice versa, we've had people here that explore other markets. And it's such a different feel here than it is in Nashville or in Chicago or wherever it happens to be. You don't have to step too far outside of these perimeters of our community to know how special we are. Mm-hmm. And from what we offer in this town, from the amenities to the different venue space to just the likability of people. It's so fun when we have other guests in here and they're saying, wow, they just said hi to me on the street corner. I was putting money in the meter and they said hello. Like little things like that.
They actually meant it. They were genuinely nice.
Yeah. I know we are genuine. Yes. So I absolutely adore what we do, but
yeah. And the venues are exciting. I mean, we get to cover these new hotels, for instance, but then you see a venue that is going to be a perfect fit for whatever the event may be. And we've got some great ones coming. So
we do. I know.
Fun years.
Yeah. I should probably put paper or pen to paper, I should say, to how many in the last 10 years, new venues that you've covered that we've been a part of or that we've hosted events in. I mean, there's so many. And you're absolutely right. We've got some pretty incredible things that are happening, not just in Sioux Falls, but in the perimeters as well. It's fun to be able to see how things have exploded, but we need it. I mean, as we're bringing in new bodies into this community, we've got new physicians moving in, new accountants, new banks, all these people moving into this community. They know what they're used to in those other bigger communities. And it's nice to be able to finally, I shouldn't say finally, it's nice for Sioux Falls to adopt some of those pieces that we so need and we want, because we want to continue to showcase what we have.
It's almost hard to keep up, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah.
The explosion of event venues. And that's part of what I love about covering retail, for instance, is that it's a really innovative industry and someone's always figuring out something new to launch. And I think that event business owners are much the same way. They're always coming up with some new twist to put on a venue. And it's really fun to see that. You asked about decompressing, and you'll probably agree here too. We cover a lot of new restaurants. And I used to try to get to all of them, to try them out. It's impossible anymore. I think I gave that up 5 years ago because, I mean, there are so many openings. I am so behind on getting to many of these. But, I mean, how fun to go in and try something new and meet a new owner. And there's countless opportunities to do that in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, we've got a good mix. Mm-hmm. So over the years, is there a specific, to put you on the spot here, a specific story that you felt so incredibly honored to be able to share and showcase that, I don't know, that still sticks with you to this day? I don't know if it was like one of the first ones that was a big story for you that you felt, gosh, I got to break this news. Like there's always one, like I always feel like for me, I have this one event that I talk about all the time because it was just so memorable. And that's kind of what set our path and our tone. What about you? Is there a specific story?
I think in journalism, it's especially when you get a career the duration that I've been fortunate enough to have, there are a lot. So I think I naturally revert to some of those very first ones that, like you said, were just so foundational. And honestly, it's the story that probably brought me back to Sioux Falls. I'm not from here originally, but I was fortunate to come here in my junior year in college, and the team at Kello TV just provided me fantastic mentorship and opportunities and allowed me to really be treated like a real full-time reporter. And that included being called in for middle of the night breaking news. And they sent me to the community of Plankington, really small town, just west of Mitchell, and the one school for the community. And the school had exploded. It was a propane explosion, fatalities. And I think now, even with the benefit of having lived in South Dakota longer, I fully understand the impact to a small town that has. But I was the first reporter to be brought inside the school and to tour it and to see the damage firsthand with the fire chief who had responded. And it was me and my photographer, who I'll give a shout out to, Autumn Caulfield, who is now at the company.
She's so awesome.
Right?
Go Autumn. Yeah.
Yep. So she and I go way, way back. Wow, and now I get to work with her as a commercial broker.
Yeah.
And we're the two youngest people on the team. We're about the same age. And here we are, we've got this opportunity, and she did a great job capturing that footage, which is not easy. And I appreciate that even more in retrospect. And hopefully I did a decent job telling that story. But, the opportunity that gave me and the connection that provided me with the station and with Sioux Falls was huge in my decision to make this my first full-time job. So yes, that would probably be locally my most memorable story.
I got goosebumps while you were talking about it. I don't remember that story. I don't know if I was even in this community at that point, but I have goosebumps just hearing you just talk through it about stepping inside and what it looks like. And I'm sure it's, obviously permanently embedded in all that you do, because that was kind of that eye-opening moment for you.
Right. And now business is a little different, but, we in journalism, we have the privilege, the honor, the responsibility in that we meet people on their best and worst days. And, I'm there when you open your business and we get to tell that story. And I'm there sometimes when you have to close it, which is really difficult for people. I understand that in a way that I don't think I would have as just a business reporter without being a business owner. But I always try to keep that in mind that, this is my assignment for the day, but this is maybe somebody's best or worst day. And it's not easy when you're interviewed ever, right? There's a little bit of pressure that comes with that. So I do try to be extremely mindful of that.
So speaking of businesses coming going, is there anything in Sioux Falls that you wish that we would have for a business that we don't currently kind of capitalize on that market yet? Is there anything?
I think because I am so committed to local and growing local that I hesitate to point to anybody nationally and say, well, we would just be complete if we had that. Because I think in most cases, the ingenuity and the innovation of locals can create things that are far better. I mean, I've got my favorite Italian chain restaurant, but even if it were in town, I'd still be going to the local first.
Yeah, correct.
Because it's that good too, by the way. It's better than the chain. My readers overwhelmingly would tell you Trader Joe's. So
oh my gosh,
I need to acknowledge that, right? To me, I'm not saying I wouldn't shop there, but I'm not in complete living in Sioux Falls because we don't have one. And if you've been watching this entire time, just hoping we would talk about this, I would tell you just be patient. I do think it's going to be sooner than later, but that's all I can say at this point.
Yeah. So. When we travel for events, we always, I shouldn't say always, 95% of the time, if not more, we find ourselves at local bakeries, local coffee shops, eating at the seafood restaurant, whatever it happens to be. And our clients, we'll ask them, like, where do you go? Like, I'm sure we can find things on Quick Yelp or wherever else, but we want to go where they're going too, because they know where the best places are at. And I think that's the fun part. I grew up in family business. So my mother was a business owner and restaurant, as you know. And so I try to support as much local as we can too. And that's why for me, having our team immersed in downtown, having our family immersed here, or even if it's shopping across town, whatever it happens to be, we try to support our local friends and family members as much as we can too. But it's so important. Now, that doesn't mean I don't shop at Duluth right downtown here either, because we do. But I think we have a good mix. People ask us too, like, is there something else that you wish that Sioux Falls would have as a business downtown, and or wherever? And I don't have anything either. I think we've got such a diverse group of things. Do I wish we had more breakfast places downtown? Sure.
Right.
It's hopping all the time. Do I wish that we had XYZ here? Yeah. But I am so
they're coming, right?
It will happen. Like just the transformation over these years has been just incredible to be able to see,
Yeah. And I should say they're coming, but only if you support it. So even to your point about supporting Duluth, nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is a great anchor for downtown that brings other shoppers to support the rest of the businesses. So we want them to be as successful as everybody who's locally owned downtown. But when we're making our spending decisions, and I'm certainly guilty of this from time to time too, right? I am not about to tell you that I don't shop or have never shopped at these large, national that we would recognize. But when you have the opportunity to make a decision and to spend that money locally versus non-locally, especially now, I would just tell you, I hope I'm wrong on this, Addie, but the warning signs are out there. I hear from a lot of businesses lately that this is not 2022 or even 2023, that the consumer is cutting back. I get that. I understand that. Everybody's cost of living has been affected, but we all still have spending decisions to make. So when you can, doing that locally is so important.
And you've done an incredible job of helping to share that story. I know some of our dear friends, Greg Hook over at 605, and I think a few others in our community. I could go buy my hookahs somewhere else, and I can probably buy them cheaper online, but I will go to purchase them from Greg because we just have those relationships. And when you're walking into those coffee shops or relationships or whoever else it happens to be, if I know they're like who it's directly impacting, I'm more likely and more inclined to spend those dollars there as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't shop at Amazon because I most certainly do, but I'm saying we have those decisions to make day in and day out, just like your coffee, right? You're drinking your Starbucks coffee.
I am acknowledging it, but I'm saying, hey, I should probably find the local alternative. It would be better. But I would tell people, one of my pet peeves is when we do unfortunately have to run a closure, and I get readers who inevitably will say, well, I didn't know they were there. I didn't know they were there. And part of me goes, well, okay, whose fault is that, right? I mean, could a business do a better job marketing? I'm sure they could. But I also know how challenging it is to reach people today. So if supporting the community is important to you, my message is always dial in. We try to make it as easy as we can. So follow the product. Don't just wait for it to show up in your social feed. Maybe make the effort to sign up for the email newsletter and keep up with what's happening in your community.
Agree. So what's coming up for you? Anything big? For you personally, for company-wise, like what that looks like for you?
What's really fun for me is sometimes we do these things that are, they feel like they're so far away. This is going to open in 2024 or 2025. And then all of a sudden it's here, and keeping it downtown. It's been so fun for me recently to see some of these once in a generation projects come together, and it's real, right? So you can go now to the Sharapa development, as I did recently, and get right in the center of it and see the artwork being installed and the landscaping going in, those final touches that really make it feel like a cohesive development. People are living there and working there. And I think we're going to have some good retail announcements coming. So pretty soon you'll be shopping and dining there. I'm really excited later this year for Steel District to open their retail
incredible.
restaurants, that Canopy by Hilton. I can't wait, to meet people there and to check all of that out. And Jacobson Plaza, I don't think Sioux Falls really grasps the change that's about to happen in that north end and that east end of downtown. It's so fun. And I'll tell you that we're not done. So again, there's things I can't talk about, but there are people who are interested. There are things that are in the works that, again, could just build on that transformation of the community. So part of my challenge is I have all these ideas and things I would like to do with the business and ways that I would like to grow. And, focusing in on that is going to be important for me here in the next couple of years, because as you said, I do think with a good business model, I think the market's responded to it. There are a lot more stories to tell, in Sioux Falls and beyond, I would say. So trying to figure out how do I prioritize? What does the master plan look like? I think I know that, but there are a lot of things I want to tackle. So
Jodi, you need your own retreat. You need your own Jodi retreat.
You're not wrong.
In a lot of ways, to unplug, get outside, and just pen the next 10 years.
Yeah, that free space in your head. Rosemary, my coworker, knows that it's really dangerous whenever I get on a plane, Addie, and I don't have access and I am unplugged, because then I have that free space and I land. I've been known to do this. I land with an idea. And,
oh my gosh. Wow.
So it's dangerous giving me that space to unplug.
My free space, I know this is, I don't know even if this is much free space at all, but when I work out in the mornings and I'm getting ready, I will send myself so many notes or emails while I'm getting ready, because I think like, what about this? And oh my gosh, what about that? And blah, blah, blah. And people say like the best ideas come from the shower. Mine is like blow drying my hair. I think I just have 20 minutes, whatever. And the best things come, and I'll come into the office and I have all these emails, but they're all from myself about, well, I want to do this. And what about this? Or they're in my notes on my phone. And some of the best ideas. Actually, I came up with our company name at a stoplight on 41st and Louise once. I was on the phone thinking, I wrote down 26 company names of what I could call the event company, 26 of them on this notebook. And I was right there where I did my best thinking. I was in the car a couple minutes, and that's how it came to be. And I feel like when you have that solitude and a little bit of space, free space in your head to just think, right? It happens, whether it's on a plane or in a car or in the shower, whatever it happens to be.
Take a walk, that'll happen. Yep.
Yeah.
One time I literally woke up with a name, like you said, I needed a name for something, and I'd been really struggling with it. And I just woke up and I was like, no, it's this. It's just going to be this. We're going to go with it. Right. So you never know when those ideas are going to pop up.
Thank you for spending time with me today. But before we go, we always pull out. So Ariana, our producer, has these questions.
Okay.
It's a stack of questions. I'm going to pull out one. I don't know what they are. Sometimes they're random things. Sometimes they're favorites of whatever. I'm going to pull out one of them, and we're going to...
I should do an interview like this.
See what your answer is. Yes. Oh, this is probably going to be a good one for you. And I don't know how you got picked this one, but what would be the title of your autobiography?
Oh my goodness. I have that actually.
How applicable. You do. Of course you do.
I wrote my autobiography already, Addie. Of course I did. I was 13 at the time, but I did it.
Of course.
And it's
13.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
have you looked at it lately?
I do look at it occasionally.
Oh, that is incredible.
I do think that's important. I had a wonderful teacher, John Thompson, if he's watching, an English teacher, who encouraged us to do this. And it's Jodi's journey. I like alliteration. And, and it works.
Great.
Right? So.
Great.
There you go.
Great. Wow. Of all questions, you get this one.
The writer gets this one, right?
The writer gets this one.
Nothing is by chance. I believe that.
I love it.
You probably do too.
Well, thank you for joining me. I'm so proud of your journey. I'm excited to see what's next for you. And thank you for being such an incredible beacon and icon for our community. You do an incredible job. And again, I hope there are others out there just like you. And if not, this girl's replicable. She is making it happen. So kudos to you, Jodi. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Congratulations on your success and for connecting a lot of people with the Sioux Falls community. It takes teamwork. It takes everybody to make that happen.
Well, thank you.
It's great to share this business community with you, and I look forward to what's
Thank
ahead.
you, dear. I appreciate it, friend. Well, for those that are tuning in, be sure to watch every other Thursday. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted. Make sure to follow and rate this podcast wherever you are watching or listening. Stay connected with us by following us on social media at Uncorked Unscripted on Instagram and Facebook, and at Uncork Unscript on Twitter and TikTok. And if you really enjoyed this episode, do us a huge favor and send it to a friend. See you soon. Bye.